And a good spiritual morning to you once again. I'm Father Cosmas. Thanks for joining me today for a quick chat and, of course, our morning cup of coffee. And so I thought for today, since this week we celebrate one of the great saints of our church, great martyrs of our church, Saint Demetrios, we talk a little bit about something to do with Saint Demetrios. And I have a special place in my heart for Saint Demetrius. I served a parish dedicated in his honor for about 17 years. And so when you see an icon of Saint Demetrios, you notice that he's depicted sort of young, not too old, as a soldier, usually having a sword or a spear. And what's always sort of mentioned over and over in the hymns written about him is his purity. He has such an imitation of Christ in his life, because again, he's not an older saint, he's a little bit younger, and he's martyred, by being pierced with spears. And so something akin to the way that Christ was pierced with a spear when he's on the cross. And so there's a connection in many ways between Saint Demetrios and an imitation of a Christian or a Christ-like life. And of course, an amazing saint, a myrrh streamer, a wonder worker. And but I'm always sort of struck by his purity. That's mentioned over and over in the hymns for his services dedicated in his honor. He's seen as being a very pure saint, partly to do with his age, that he's not depicted as being an old man, but he remains very, very pure. And that's something that I think is important for us to think about nowadays, because we are bombarded with so much stimulus. We constantly are seeing things, watching things, listening to things. It is unprecedented. Even 30 years ago, it wasn't anywhere near to what it is now, let alone 100 years ago or beyond. And so whenever I think of Saint Demetrios, I think about his purity, and I sort of think, how can I keep myself in my spiritual life pure? And be very picky about, what I'm exposing myself to, what I'm listening to, what I'm watching on the computer, TV shows, whatever it might be, on the radio, and to make sure that I'm constantly reminding myself that whenever I'm watching something, whenever I'm seeing something, it's going to affect me. It doesn't just vanish or disappear. It's in there. Our brain is amazing and powerful, and it just sort of catalogs that, puts it away for another time, and you never know when that's going to rear its ugly head. It might be in the middle of prayer, or it might be at another time where I'm trying to read the Bible, or I'm in church, and all of a sudden this thought pops into my head, and I think, well, where did that come from? And so I try to rededicate myself to being very, very picky about what I watch. If you're a person that spends a lot of time on the internet, or you watch a lot of television, try to maybe back that down a little bit. Try to limit that. I think the average family is watching 3 hours of television a day. We might want to try to ease that back a little bit, do some other things, spend a little bit less time. There's certain people that just turn the radio on and just have it going in the background while they're doing everything all day long. All of that sound goes somewhere, is affecting something, and it's reducing our level of purity. And we want to be pure so that our prayers can remain pure, and we can be pure in our spiritual life. So it's something to think about. When we think about Saint Demetrios, we think about so much, but we should think about, for ourselves, trying to keep ourselves pure as much as we possibly can, and limit what we're watching so that we can receive God's blessings each and every day. Amen.